And that started this massive fight where she says Diddy then starts chasing after her. She says that he kicked through a bedroom door, and then she hid in the bathroom, and he kicked down the bathroom door and is going after her. At one point, she goes into a closet, and he is chasing her, grabs her, puts her in a headlock. Hey everybody, Charles here, and welcome to your recap of the 19th day of the Diddy trial. And Jane's testimony continued today with something really explosive, a description of something, and I know this is going to be hard to believe, but at least from the description, that Cassie beating video that we have all seen and we've all been horrified by, with good reason, that beating does not compare to something that Jane described, a fight that she and Diddy got into where they are both punching each other. It is really brutal. We're going to get to that in a moment. But the day started with the mistrial and the judge addressing what we told you happened over the weekend, that Diddy's attorneys had filed for a mistrial, accusing the prosecutors of intentionally putting someone on the stand, that person being Cassie, and having her tell what they believe is a lie about this incident where Diddy allegedly hung Brianna Bongolan over the 17th-story balcony. And the lie they claim in the mistrial filing is that Cassie, when she was on the stand, said that she witnessed this, that she actually saw Diddy do this to Brianna. Well, when Brianna testified, she said that Cassie was home. This happened at Cassie's apartment. Cassie was home, but she did not come out and actually see anything until after Diddy had pulled Brianna back over the balcony and thrown her into some deck furniture. So there is also this text message where Cassie says to Christina Coram, Diddy's chief of staff, says to her, look, I just found out something really shocking that happened. So the fact that she's saying she found it out does not sound like she was there witnessing it, and they believe that this is prejudicing the jury and that you had someone commit perjury. They say, they contend that it is Cassie who lied because Cassie did not actually see this. So we will see what the judge said this morning, that prosecution will get a chance to respond to that, and then he will make his decision on whether there's a mistrial on Tuesday morning. So tomorrow is a big, big day. As for the rest of the day's testimony, once the jury came in, Jane was back on the stand. This is Diddy's ex, who was testifying under that pseudonym. And she talked about being with him on the day that the lawsuit was filed, that Cassie filed the lawsuit. Actually, not being with him on the day the lawsuit was filed, but reading the lawsuit after it had been filed. And remember, it was settled the day after Cassie filed this. She and Diddy reached an agreement, and she got $30 million. But Jane says she was reading the lawsuit, and she told Diddy that it was very upsetting to her because it felt like she was reading her own story. She said that there were so many things in Cassie's lawsuit that felt like events that she had gone through. And then she also talked about being with him the day the Cassie tape was released, the hotel beating tape was released, and watching the lawyers come in, watching staff members huddle around him, family members huddle around, talking about how they were going to go forward here. She says that she even saw his first draft when he was doing his apology video, what he was going to say. So she talked about all of that. And while it was upsetting, she did say that they were sort of on a break after Cassie's lawsuit, and they finally did come back together around Jane's birthday in February the next year. And she talks about feeling like this was going to be different, this was better, but she ultimately said, yes, there were more hotel nights, as she puts it. Cassie called them freak-offs, she calls them hotel nights, and that this even continued after the raids went down. Now, she says after the raids at Diddy's homes, they would no longer go to hotels, but they would do it at his home or her home. And there was one night in particular that she talked about that was in June of 2024. And this was actually, the date was June 18th. And this is this huge fight that they got into, that just to read her description of this, it sounded to me like, if you've seen the old movie The Shining, when Jack Nicholson is chasing down his wife and breaks through the door with the axe and says, "Here's Johnny." That's what, and I don't mean to laugh about it. In the movie, you can laugh about it, but what Jane described is really horrifying. And she says that they were having a pleasant evening. They showed photos of the dinner that had been laid out. There were candles, and she thought it was going to be a nice romantic night at home. But she said about 30 minutes into this, they had been having some champagne, they had some tequila, and things got a little touchy at first, because he had been on a trip to Utah, and Jane said, "Who were you on this trip with?" Accused him of being with another woman. And what she was really upset about is that he continues, and she talked about this all day, that he continually would take other women, she believes, on these trips, and she would never go on those trips. She was only really, she felt, there to have these encounters with other men. So she says she confronts him about this and actually called him a pedophile. Said that, she very quickly made it clear she didn't mean that the woman that she was accusing him of being with was under 18, but she was, as she put it, 27 years his junior, not yet able to buy alcohol legally, and she felt like that was like being a pedophile, and that started a huge fight between them. She admits that she pushed his head into the kitchen counter, and that when he bent over to tie his shoe, and she pushed his head into the kitchen counter, and that started this massive fight where she says Diddy then starts chasing after her. She says that he kicked through a bedroom door, and then she hid in the bathroom, and he kicked down the bathroom door and is going after her. At one point, she goes into a closet, and he is chasing her, grabs her, puts her in a headlock. She finally escapes from this closet, says she manages to change her clothes, and then she runs down the block from her home 6 blocks away and hides behind a wall and stays behind this wall for 2 hours and then goes back to the house. And when she goes back to the house, she says that Diddy is still there, and there's more fighting that goes on. She says he eventually kicks through a guest room door. I mean, the way she's describing it, that there's no place she can hide, and this fight keeps going on and on and on. Eventually, she ends up going in to take a shower, and she says he comes into the shower. He has pants on, she's naked, she's looked in the mirror, she's seen welts developing on her eye, and that he comes into the shower, according to her, slaps her 3 times and tells her to just put some ice on it and leaves her in the shower. It is a horrible, horrible scene that she has painted, if it is true. Now, this is her testimony. Again, she's going to be cross-examined tomorrow, and I would imagine there are going to be some challenges from Diddy's team about this story, but it really did just paint this brutal, brutal story from that night. Now, what's interesting, after that night, she does say she goes back to him the next week, and this is a pattern that continues. She says up through August, that is when they had their last sexual encounter with another entertainer, as she puts it. Now, her going back and continually going back to him, we heard this with Cassie, and there was all the debate about whether she should have just left him. Now, she's saying she's going back because she loved him, and that's what she, wanted to be with him. But every time she goes back, she says she ends up having another one of these sexual encounters with other men that she didn't really want to have. That's what she's said all along. This is going to be really critical tomorrow when she is cross-examined, because she does admit this as well, that even though she went back to Diddy every time, what would end up happening, and she described at least 2 occasions where they would be together, she would take ecstasy, he would give her either a pill or sometimes it was in liquid form, and that she would then suddenly, in one case, she said she missed one of the entertainers. She turned to Diddy after taking the ecstasy and said, "I miss Paul." And he says, "You want to get him over here?" And he calls up Paul. They get Paul there. There's another time they flew someone in, Don, that she missed. So she is asking him, she's, according to her own testimony, initiating these instances where they are having these sexual encounters, which she said she didn't want to have, but yet she's initiating it. I would think that she's going to say the ecstasy had something to do with that. I don't know, but that is going to be critical when she is cross-examined, because this is really about whether or not Diddy was sex trafficking Jane. This isn't really about the RICO charge so much, as far as we've heard so far. It's not about that. This is about the sex trafficking. It's also about transporting individuals for purposes of prostitution. There have been several times that she has mentioned them doing that, flying people in for these sexual encounters. So the sex trafficking part, though, that's got to be coercion. And there is even a moment where she says that Diddy used the word, and this was in the summer of 2024, that Diddy used the word coercion. She said she didn't want to do a sexual act with one of these men, and then she took the ecstasy, and Diddy asked her, according to her, "Is this coercion?" And interestingly, after he asked that, she still went through with the sexual act with this other man. So cross-examination with Jane is going to be really critical. We will see where that goes. We're also going to find out tomorrow about the mistrial. But Jane certainly has revealed a lot about their relationship that we just had no idea all of this was going on, and going on so late into 2024, just a month before he was arrested. So who are the winners and losers today? The winner is the prosecution. And, as far as the sex trafficking, I think, Jane has certainly painted a picture of every time she's with him, it is purely for those purposes. Now, again, like I said, the big question is going to be, was she willing? Was she doing this willingly? She has said that there are many times she didn't want to do it and felt forced into it, or she was drugged. Although then the question is going to be, was she forced to take the ecstasy? Did she do it willingly? All of that will be cleared up, I hope, once the cross-examination begins. And then, of course, there'll be a redirect. Tomorrow is going to be a huge, huge day. And we are, of course, going to have all of that for you on the website.